Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 5:30. This is a special city council meeting, acting as the housing board and authority.
No.
No? Oh, city council. Okay, I'm sorry. Special city council meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Luis Trujillo,
Present.
Councilor David Romero,
Here.
Councilor Elaine Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilor Michael Montoya,
Present.
Councilor David Ulibarri Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a quorum.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to take a quick moment of reflection, prayer for our nation, Lord, as we move into this election cycle. We ask that the citizens be heard, that their voices be heard, that their votes be counted. And we ask for peace in our nation and for the well-being of our entire country and our community. Amen.
Mr. Mayor, approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Mr. Romero has made a motion. I'll entertain a second. Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Councilor Rodriguez,
Yes.
Councilor Montoya,
Yes.
Councilor Romero,
Yes.
Councilor Ulibarri Jr. I
Yes.
have a motion by Councilor Romero, a second by Councilor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor, public input. We have no public input at this time.
Okay.
We will move on to business items. Item 1, approval of resolution 20-58 to enter into a repayment agreement between the City of Las Vegas and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. And we have Natasha Martinez, our Northern Regional Housing Authority Deputy Director.
Natasha, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, council, the reason that this was a council meeting and not a housing meeting is it's because it's a matter between the city council or the city government and housing and urban development. The entity acting was the housing authority, but that's a separate program than the City of Las Vegas. So in February 2016, the department, which is Housing and Urban Development, and the City of Las Vegas entered into a repayment agreement to satisfy debt owed between housing and the Las Vegas Housing Authority. The City of Las Vegas has previously paid $516,000 from the general fund. The Las Vegas Housing Authority to the Las Vegas Housing Authority. The current amount for that repayment agreement is $79,672. The department issued a report December 2019 detailing the loss to the department and the Las Vegas Housing Authority due to ineligibly sold public housing units in 2004 and 2005. The City of Las Vegas has agreed to repay the total of $3,584,000 based upon the department's audit report dated 2019 with funds derived from non-federal sources, for the total amount owed being $3,663,672. So the repayment agreement, I know there's quite a bit of recitals in here. And one of the ones that I wanted to, and I put it kind of in the background and rationale. No, actually it's just on one of the recitals, is that the last one, two, three. The 8th recital down on the resolution itself does state, and this is the resolution that adopts it. So I could read the resolution, it's kind of similar to what I just stated, or else we can just let you know what the difference is on that 8th one.
If you could just notify us of the difference.
Is on, the repayment agreement will be paid off by June 31st, 2046. So that gives us 25 years. Previously, when we were trying to negotiate it, the timeline was about 10 to 15 years. So that gives us a lot more time, and it gives it about $150,000 a year. Additionally, we have 15 properties in question that have not been released and are still held in trust with Housing and Urban Development. Those 15 properties will be, there'll be a partial release of the declaration of trust for all 15 of them once we get this agreement to, over to the HUD field office. So that's a big deal. There's a lot of people, it's caused us lots of heartache. It's caused the community lots of heartache. It's caused people who live in these units extreme heartache because they have loans that they can't ever refinance. They have a home that they technically can't sell. So once, you know, and we did talk about this before, that this was kind of one of those big pushes that we wanted to see happen. Do you guys want me to go over the terms of the agreement?
I think it's self-explanatory, but do you feel like you want to, Tasha?
The only thing that I know that they did kind of emphasize was that, because I said, well, what happens if they don't pay it? Like, you know what I mean? And we did put quite a few little recitals in there where it says, like, you know, that the Housing and Urban Development will work with the city to try to resolve something, like say there's a change of administration and they don't know that they have to pay it or it has to be budgeted or anything like that, that Housing and Urban Development as well as Northern Regional Housing Authority will work with the city to try to figure out a resolution to that. Additionally, the only thing that kind of, because everything comes from one source, if the payments don't get made, what would be held would be like the awardment of CDBG funds and that kind of stuff that goes through the same kind of funding sources. So, but this is really, it really does help in a lot of sense, the program for one, and it also helps the city for two, as far as the way that, you know, the funding sources look towards us as we're repaying something that did happen, and it happened inelligibly, and now this administration is trying to fix it.
Okay. And we appreciate, just for the record, we appreciate the dialogue with HUD and them opening up the dialogue with us again, and us coming in good faith to do what we need to do for the citizens and for our community. Personally, I'd like to thank HUD myself and all your voices that helped us with this repayment program. And go ahead.
If you'd like, Julian Barella, the division director, said that he would be available for any calls or questions during the meeting if we desired.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Okay. But they've been very helpful with the city, and I appreciate the.
I think Natasha really went to bat for you.
I know.
She really did.
I know. Thank you so much, Natasha, for your help and your concern. Mr. Montoya?
Mr. Mayor, and our finance director is not here, and our manager, city manager is not here, but I guess the question is, are we going to be okay with $150,000 payment off the general fund for the 25 years? You know, or are we going to be seeing hardship or what's, you know, but I don't know, I guess they're not here to answer those questions, but kind of. On the other hand, I think that it's very unfortunate and it's real disappointing that we have come to this point. I served in 2002, 2006, and at that time I recollect that we got permission from HUD to sell those homes, and from then on what happened is somebody went off the edge of the board and went a different direction on their own. And if I would have been here in 2010 when they first found out about it, I mean, I think I would have handled it a lot more different than when it was. And then to find out again, Mr. Mayor, in 2015, to bring it back to the table, and then back in 2016, and then finally admitting to the repayment in 2019, I mean, and then defaulting on that, I mean, we, at this point, basically, we're at the end of the rope in so many words. So, yeah, and I concur with the mayor, you know, we thank you for all that you've done to help the city out on this situation. I know it hasn't been easy. It's been a long road. And hopefully, I guess tonight we'll bury the hatchet on this one. But I still say that somebody should have cut it a lot sooner and addressed it a lot sooner, not 20 years later. That's why I say it's unfortunate and real disappointing to me. But what's happened is happened, and no use, I guess, on digging out graves. I just lead me back to the same question: is are we going to be okay? Not that we have a choice at this point, but are we going to be okay? Hopefully, we're going to be okay on the budget. The last time we asked the finance director and the city manager, they indicated that that we would have to find the means regardless. So, but it's disappointing, Mr. Mayor. But thank you.
Thank you. And I know that there's disappointment, of course, there's disappointment on my behalf, but there's also a good feeling that this is the administration that will move forward and to make things right and solve this issue for once. And this is the administration that's going to move forward and do the right thing in good faith and hope that our dialogue with HUD continues to be open and so forth. Mr. Ulibarri?
I just want to thank Natasha and the Housing Department for doing this work. It's been a long time. People that got involved with this and bought houses are still waiting to see what's going to happen. 15 years is a long time. Whatever happened back then, it was awful. It hurt the city, hurt the citizens. But I just want to thank you that we finally came to take care of this problem, and we got to move forward. So, thank you for all the work you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Elaine?
It was interesting because I came into the city council with this almost being resolved. And I went and did research to get a better understanding of everything that happened. And and I agree with my fellow council member, Mr. Montoya, is that, you know, and it's not this administration, but we are a steward of the residents' money. And we're a poor community, and to have to pay $3 million, I was outraged in my home, because I don't mingle with people. And I thought there was even an opportunity at one point to bring that down, and it didn't happen. And like you said, we want to move forward, and I'm very happy to be appointed and working with these individuals, because some of the residents have come to me and said, you know, these individuals ran. I didn't run, so I didn't make any promises. That's the positive, right? But they said they made campaign promises, and that's why we voted for Mayor Trujillo and the other representatives. And they're waiting, and they want to make sure all those promises come to fruition. And it just seemed, and I don't want to insult anybody, and I don't want to, you know, place blame on anyone, because it's difficult when you're changing administrations and directors of departments. But it just seemed like a no-brainer to me that you would take that deal and pay, you know, make those payments. You know, that, and I may be quoting the wrong number, but it was close to 600,000 versus 3 million. But I do want to continue researching it and talking to people to see why this happened, so that it doesn't happen again. And not just in the housing, but in all our departments. You know, because as a faculty member and professor of teaching government, I always tell the students, when you're in a position, you're stewards of people's money, and this leaves a bad stain on the city. But I also want to get a better understanding of how this happened, and I'm not going to take all the time. I don't want to take people's time now, but I will be doing a little bit more research because I want to get a better understanding how this happened and how it had gone on for so long.
So in 2005, when it was found out that the houses are being sold to ineligible buyers, the program was stopped. And so it was halted by HUD in 2005, and that's why we have those boarded up units that we're rehabbing with capital fund money to put on. Those houses were actually supposed to be sold. They were supposed to be rehabilitated and sold. And that couldn't happen because they did find out that they were being sold to ineligible buyers.
Correct.
So in 2000, so they had given them a deadline, HUD had given the city a deadline to do an internal audit to find out which houses were sold ineligibly, which houses weren't, all of that, and they released the titles of all of the ones that they can prove were sold to eligible buyers. Mm-hmm. There was 17 houses that they could not prove, either the residents didn't cooperate or they did not qualify for the program. So with those 17, we've been working towards replacing them, purchasing them back, doing something in the meantime to get it all kind of fixed,
right,
in a sense. And then what they also found when they did the internal audit that was required was that there was $616,000 of misspent expenses. So they were expenses that from revenue that was generated through the homeownership program that was awarded, that was back in here, back with the housing program, that was spent on things that were not homeownership related.
Right.
So those expenditures all had to get paid back, and that was at $616,000.
Okay.
Okay? So then after that, in 2015, they were kind of like, we need to do this, we need to do this. So then we got the repayment agreement started so that we can take it off of our, kind of like our count of vacancies, so that it wouldn't be counted against us so much. So we started working towards that with the repayment agreement, the first one for the $616,000. Somewhere along the lines, previous elected officials felt that they should not have to pay that, and they went up to another level of housing and urban development, which our field office had been working diligently all these years to try to help our community. Our previous field office director was actually from Mora, and he was really helping the community, trying to help the community, but they didn't see it that way. They just saw a big bill, and he has to enforce the regulations. So then when that happened, they came back down and said, okay, well now our field office is going to do a compliance review. So the field office did a compliance review. Oh wait, no, the compliance review was first. Compliance review was first, and we just got picked randomly. And that's when everything was found that a lot of stuff hadn't been paid back, and that kind of dirt kind of got thrown on it. And then after that happened, then administration just really felt that we were getting picked on by our field office. And so they went up to DC to, gosh, I forgot how high he was like 2 steps down from the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And he decided that they were not only going to do a compliance review, but they reviewed our field office, and they did a QAS audit, a quality assurance audit with the Housing Authority. And they found that the compliance review that was done by the field office was not only accurate, but not enough was done to us.
Right.
So that's when all of this came into play, that these units had to get replaced. And then when we asked, what it was going to take, previous administration wanted a number. They wanted a number, they wanted a number. And so finally they released the report and gave us that number. And with that came a letter, we need to resolve this. They gave us a deadline to acknowledge the liability, and now we're here today, kind of in a roundabout way. So that was a quick synopsis of everything that happened.
And it's interesting because, not that this makes anybody feel bad, but this happens a lot in different communities. In the communities I travel in, it's sad because people know if they're buying a HUD house, and people do their paperwork illegally so they can buy the HUD house. So it should be on, some liability should also be taken by the residents, because they know if it's a HUD house, if you're purchasing a HUD house, do your paperwork. I've just seen where people fudge their paperwork so they can buy the HUD house. And if I know it, I report them, because that's illegal. These houses are designated for low-income people.
What happened was they weren't designated and it got circumvented. So the
Oh, they
system
are.
got circumvented. A lot of what happened isn't what you would typically see
See, and
in a low-income purchase, kind of like an FHEO or something like that.
Okay.
It wasn't like those kind of purchases. It was completely, the system was circumvented.
that's even worse.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I know we're all here together, and I know, you know, the Albuquerque field office also did go through a lot of scrutiny through this whole thing, and I just, if we can, could we make that call to Julian and just, you know, thank him for, you know, not only him, I know Mandy's not there, Floyd, but all these individuals that, you know, we could never say, you know, because there wasn't, and, you know, I tried my best to try to, you know, remedy some of this stuff, but the thing is, in the government, it takes more than one person, it takes a team, and I think that's what we have here today, is we have a team, and one person can't, or two people can't get things done, and, you know, today here we are as a team, we're all on the same page, and we're getting these things done, and I think, you know, if we could just, hopefully, Floyd answer, Julian answers, if not.
He told me to call, but I think he thought I was going to call him on Teams.
Are you calling on Teams?
No, I'm calling him on the phone.
Question, Mr. Natasha, so just for a point of clarification, the building the city of Las Vegas bought with housing money for the veterans on North Gonzalez, which is now the farmer's market,
That church, yes.
that is still the city's right now and it's paid for.
Yes, what happened was housing purchased it with homeownership money. The city bought it back,
Yes.
so right away, that repayment agreement got decreased by $115,000.
Okay, thank you.
So, but if he doesn't, just, if he could just, you know,
Yeah,
when you
we-
see him,
we
let him
will.
know that, you know, we are thankful for everything that they've done. Unfortunate that we had to go through, you know, like Councilor Montoya said, everything that we did have to go through. I think that we kept our, you know, agreements, everything would have been okay, but here we are and working as a team, and we're ready to move forward. And thank you, Mayor, for your leadership and also,
Yeah.
you know, getting this thing going, because, you know, it takes things to get done from the top, and your leadership did that today.
Thank you.
Well, not today, but since you got here.
Thank you. Thank you. So we'll move on.
Yeah.
What's the desire of the council?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr.
Make a
Romero?
motion to approve Resolution 20-58 to enter into a repayment agreement between the City of Las Vegas and the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second?
Second, Mr.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you so much. And thank you once again, Tasha and Mr. Bacateri, for everything that you've done
Thank
for the
you.
community. All right.
Mr. Mayor, we have executive session. There's a need.
Motion to adjourn?
There's a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second, Mr.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. Roll call, please.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Ulibarri Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Ulibarri Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Cassandra.
When you sign.